Ascended Heroes? More like Ascended Zeros, you feel me? Because, all the backstock and us not able to get anything. Anyways. What's up, YouTube? This is DataBoyTCG here, back at it again with yet another video on Pokemon investing. Today we, as my joke suggested at the beginning of this video, are going to talk about Ascended Heroes, and more specifically, the Elite Trainer box, because I noticed that my Target order that I got, the pre-order, was delayed, and, I don't even know how I was able to get any product from Target to begin with. That was the first time I've actually gotten anything from Target in like a year or so. So, nevertheless, I think all these delays and logistical problems that the Pokemon company is facing it's really adding to the hype of Ascended Heroes, and there's conspiracy theorists out there that are like, oh, Pokemon company is doing this on purpose to drive up hype for the 30th anniversary. And other Poke YouTubers already talked about this, like PokeChuck, PokeProfit, Nostalgianomics, and PokeNE talked about this too on their live a couple of weeks ago. The Pokemon company is a massive corporation. These sets take a long time to figure out, from figuring out the artists, figuring out, the actual trading card aspect of it, which is like balancing and, determining what the meta is, nerfing cards or nerfing certain cards that were really good in the previous set, so on and so forth. So there's a lot involved, and it's probably a logistical nightmare. So I really doubt that they're delaying release on purpose. That at the end of the day, if they sell to big box stores, it's already done. They get their money. It's the only direct to consumer products we get are from Pokemon Center. So and those have already gone, and so yeah, I don't think the Pokemon company is doing any of this on purpose, but I do think there are some logistical issues that they're facing, especially as they decided to print the hell out of Prismatic Evolutions, real money maker for them, which I understand. Companies need to make money, capitalism, So, but it is adding to kind of like all this FOMO and people just wanting one before, afraid of prices not dropping for the release, because there seems to be none out there. I was looking at TCG Player here for the Ascended Heroes ETB, and I just don't like how it only shows like 1 year, because I want to compare it to other sets as well, and kind of talk about what is a good entry point for the Ascended Heroes ETB. Let's see here. I finally caved and got Pokedata Gold, not the Platinum, which allows API. I might consider that though, because I am data boy. I like data. I want to quantify my reasoning behind all these purchases that I'm making in hundreds and thousands of dollars. So, you see here, started off around the low 100 mark, moved its way up to like 120. You see some spikes here and there. And then it kind of leveling out at 130, especially with the news that products are getting delayed. So people are FOMOing in. Look at all these sales on eBay. So yeah, and I also want to talk about, I also tried to get into a Hobbiesville pre-order. It was like, I think 89 per ETB for Ascended Heroes, which is, I thought it was a great price. I skipped out on GameStop's pre-order because they're charging over. They're apparently scalpers now with their own supply, which just doesn't make sense to me. But regardless, with the Pro membership, you could get a limit of 2 Ascended Heroes ETBs for, I think, around like 95 per, if you're considering the GameStop Pro perks with the discounts and everything. I thought that was a little high to begin with, but it's looking more and more like maybe that actually is a good price point. But I just want to note that this is a delayed product. We're gonna get this product one way or another at a certain point. There are pre-orders happening, and also I know Pokemon Center is canceling all of these, so I feel like there's definitely logistical issues adding to the FOMO, adding to speculations. But what can we do here? How can we have peace of mind in terms of, when do I need to, at what price point do I need to get the Ascended Heroes LE Trainer box? We have to compare what's happened historically with other specialty sets. And let's take a look at Prismatic here. This is the all-time chart. I love that Pokedata also has both the TCG player graph and the eBay graph, which even TCG player won't let us have. I feel like they're gonna roll out a premium version later on, showing all this. But regardless, back to the point. When you see this kind of dip here, like, Prismatic didn't have as much hype back then in terms of demand. People were hyped for the set, but there wasn't too much like sealed investing being talked about as there is now. And it started off at the high 70s, low 80s, worked its way up to like 100, just over 100, and then kind of leveled out, and then it kept rising. There's fluctuations here and there. This is probably when all the restocks happened. This is probably when all the restocks happened as well recently. And then we're back now at around 130 on eBay and an atrocious 145 on TCG player. So, the point I want to try to make here is that it seems like after the $80 mark, it just kept rising if you're looking long term. If you bought it here, yeah, it sucks to that it falls. You're losing like 20% here. So yeah, that sucks. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that maybe a couple weeks after release is like a good entry point here. Let's look at Destined Rivals, and I know that's not a specialty set, but I just want to point out something interesting because Destined Rivals, in my opinion, was as hyped as Ascended Heroes, if not more. And it started off high with all the pre-orders or pre-sales going on eBay, and then look what happened. Dropped all the way to the $80 mark, and then steadily increasing again back to the 160 mark and 170 on TCG player here. And of course we don't know the supply or the actual stock of Ascended Heroes, but it seems to be that this $80 mark, we're probably not going to go see Ascended Heroes ETBs going for less than $80 at any point in its life cycle. And with sealed products, it just keeps rising over time because it takes time for the Pokemon Company to do restocks and everything. And during that waiting period, the increase in price itself is just the velocity of it just far outweighs the reprint window. So something to consider there, even though this is not a specialty set. I mean, maybe this even works better to my point that this $80 mark is a good entry point because you have the booster box here too. So it was more spread out in terms of the available products that we could get for Destined Rivals. So something to consider here. Obviously, I just want to take a look at 151 because it's fun. On TCG Player, you can only see like this aspect of the graph. But it worked its way back up. But I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we're paying under MSRP. Like 47, 45 is under MSRP, and 151 was known for that. At the beginning, no one was buying because the demand wasn't there. The Pokemon market wasn't hype, and over time, it increases significantly, as you can see here. And for a set like Ascended Heroes, multiple SIRs, Gengar, 2 Pikachu SIRs, a Dragonite. You don't get a Dragonite very often, in my opinion. The last good one was the Evolving Skies one, actually. And I don't remember any after that. So Ascended Heroes is going to be hype. There's too many good good cards and really good middle support with the illustration rares as well. You also got the gold cards. Curious to see how the gold cards play out in the long term, but I do think people are downplaying them a lot, but they're gonna go up because of the rarity itself. But regardless, maybe we're not. What did we determine here? We're never gonna get to this MSRP point in this market. There's so much demand, and we're just lacking supply. And the Pokemon company is not gonna pump out. You guys need to consider that the economic landscape that we're in, it's rough out there. I actually work in asset management, so that's like, just think of it as finance. And the macroeconomic outlooks and the microeconomic outlooks are both very, very bad with all the inflation happening, changes in the Fed. No one knows what's going to happen. When this happens, companies need to dial back and not be as aggressive. And I feel like that's what Pokemon is doing too. They understand the demand is there, but they also want to control the growth so that they don't overprint and have leftover inventory. Any physical goods seller, or a company, their worst nightmare is idle inventory. So that's what they're trying to avoid, I think. So keep that in mind as well. The Pokemon market moves alongside the economy as well. Economic decisions from the Pokemon company, economic state of people involved in the hobby. There's a lot of talk about, there's a lot of crypto heads that are into 151 into Pokemon TCG because it's more like gambling. But as with the recent crypto downturn, I think that was kind of like disproven, since the market's still very strong for Pokemon. The demand is just far outweighs the supply. It's a different world. So all in all, just to summarize, maybe like the $80, if you ever even find these Ascended Heroes ETBs for around $80, I would scoop up instantly. And if it falls below the 80 point, it's going to shoot right back up. So I don't think it'll ever go below 70, to be honest, just looking at the data. And especially with this ridiculous wave release that's got us on our toes all the time. If you're able to find some at time of release for less than $80 on like Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, OfferUp, what have you, and like do bulk deals for better pricing, I would, if it's below 85, I would definitely get into that. And I think I'm even comfortable going into these ETBs at the $90 mark, to be honest. And I know that seems high, but data just tells us otherwise. But we'll see. I usually like to scoop products up around a week after release. That's usually around the time when people actually get the products and listed locally on their Facebook Marketplace or Facebook groups, Discord, what have you, Reddit. So that's also a thing to consider. And just wanted to discuss this because a lot of complaints about this Ascended Heroes set, and I haven't been able to rip any. I ripped one pack that my friend gave me and got diddly squat. So that's all I had for today. If you like this video, like and subscribe. I'll try to do more of these lighter videos too, just kind of talking more about the market rather than just diving into data all the time, because I can't do deep data analysis every day. I do have a full-time job, so that'll maybe be more like a project thing, and I can talk on more lighter topics on a more daily basis. So appreciate you watching this video. Please click like and subscribe if you want to see more, and please let me know if I need to improve on anything, like my delivery or the way I do these videos. I always want to grow, and I can only grow through feedback. So please don't be afraid to you don't even need to comment. You can just direct message me or something. Hey, I think you should do this. And I would really appreciate that. So hope everyone has a great start to their weekends. And okay, bye.